understand how to manage time in a general sense, not just in a dini sense, but in a dunyawi sense as well. So not just in the kind of matters of our religion and religious practice, but also in our daily transactions and interactions with people on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and so on and so forth. Now, the best way, I mean, this is my strategy of doing it. I'm not saying I've mastered this by any stretch of the imagination, but theoretically, this is just how I think about things. And I want you guys also to think about how you can put this into practice yourselves. So I think of the kind of overarching purpose of life as the main point of consideration when thinking about time, because time is a limited resource. It's limited and it's something that all of us have an equal relationship with. In other words, no human being has any more time than any other human being. In other words, we cannot control time. Time is not a malleable thing, it's not an attainable thing. It's not something you can deposit and it's not something you can earn. It's just something which goes on and takes a part of you with it when it's doing that, right? Like Hassan al-Basri, one of the tabi'in, he said that we are all days, really and truly. Yeah? He says we are all days, and every day we lose a part of ourselves. We are all days, and every day we lose a part of ourselves. So time is really interesting in that respect, because actually time is not something which discriminates. It doesn't care if you're an old person or if you're a young person. It doesn't care if you're a rich person or if you're a poor person. Time will take its toll on you as just a matter of necessity. That's just the reality of it. But future planning is therefore very necessary. When we're thinking about our life, the main point of consideration, I would say, is the purpose of life. So, as a Muslim, we would say the purpose of life is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, this is the standard وَمَا خَلَقْتَ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ kind of response in Surah Al-Dhariyat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we haven't created jinns and human beings except that they may worship me. So, that's the main thing to consider. Time now should be best spent, for worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And worship is in different levels. We know there's Islam, there's Iman, and then there's Ihsan. There's 3 different levels of faith. So, and the highest level is Ihsan, that is the pinnacle. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said about that, أَن تَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ كَأَنَّكَ تَرَاهُ فَإِن لَمْ تَكُنْ تَرَاهُ فَإِنَّهُ يَرَاكَ. That you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if He is seeing you. And if you can't see Him, then He can see you. In other words, the one who has reached the pinnacle of their Islamic achievement, if you will, is the one who is able to be conscientious and cognizant, of God and His every move, or her every move. So in other words, when we're doing everything with the intention of pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we're trying to be spiritual in all of our transactions, even those transactions and those interactions which may not be necessarily, religious. So for example, eating and sleeping. It's mubah. Sleep and it's mubah. It's halal. It's not necessarily an act of worship in that sense. But it can be made into an act of worship if you obviously have the intention. If you have the intention for that. So, let's think about the week, the working week. Let's be very practical here and think about the working week. There's 168 hours in a week. 168. There's 24 hours in a day. Obviously there's 30 days in a month, and etc., etc. Alright. Why is this relevant? Because if you think about this now, and I'm going to give you guys, seriously, maybe about 1 minute of reflection time now. And I want you to do what I'm going to suggest. I want you to think about visualize a pie chart kind of thing for your life. Imagine your life in a pie chart form. So imagine here I had a pie chart, okay? A pie chart. And what you do on a weekly basis is graphically or diagrammatically represented in that pie chart. Okay? Now, let me just ask. It's up to you guys. Put your hands up. Tell me how much you sleep on a daily basis. Anyone, just tell me how many hours you sleep. Give me an example. I just want to get an average. Go ahead. 8 hours. 7, 8 hours. Anyone want to? Who sleeps around 7, 8 hours? Yeah, 7, 8 hours. Maybe you sleep. Who sleeps less than that? Let's see. You sleep. How many hours do you sleep, my friend?
6 hours.
6 hours. Okay, you're a hard worker, yeah. How about you? How many hours do you sleep? 6 or 7. So okay, maybe you need a little bit more. You're still a growing boy. But so okay, let's say I think the average is about 7 hours. Yeah. Now I'm not the best mathematician. 7 times 7 is 49. Yeah. Okay. So 49 out of 168. What's this? I mean, once again, I don't have a calculator in front of me. What do 49 divided by 168 times 100? I mean, 30. Someone can do this. 30. Now let's. This is a mathematician up in here. Look, he didn't need any calculator. I saw him. He said approximately 40%. Okay, so let's take his word for it. Okay, I don't have a calculator in front of me. Approximately 40%. 40% of our lives, therefore, is spent sleeping. You could say more than that because when you're a toddler or when you're an infant, up until when you're about 10 years old, you spend a lot of time sleeping, more than just 7 hours a day, maybe 10 hours, 13 hours, etc. Okay. Anyways. So let's take that chunk out of our pie chart. So we have here already, we have our pie chart, yeah, which is graphically represented, and you have, let's say, 40% already kind of designated to sleep. Now, spend 1 minute, yeah, you can use your phones to help you. Write down the activities that you do, yeah, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, yeah, that take up at least 3 to 4 hours of your day, of your week. I want you to do that. Just think about it. You don't need to write it down. If you want to, you can. And let's do a bit of a feedback after that, all right? So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes. And you can work with the person next to you to kind of brainstorm as well if you want to. You can work together, Try it. Let's do this. Let's actually think about how we spend our time. Let's do this. And be honest with yourselves. It might be that you spend a long time watching TV. You might be one of those people, You might spend a lot of time, you might spend a lot of time on on Instagram, on Facebook. You might spend a lot of time on YouTube. Maybe not even watching Islamic videos. Maybe watching something else. You know what you do, yeah. Then maybe sometimes you don't, you do haram things. Don't tell us about those though, yeah, because you can't spread your sins in the public. So okay, I'll give you a couple of just minutes, just brainstorm, because wallahi, this is what Umar ibn Khattab. When he said, حَاسَبُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ قَبْلَ أَن تُحَاسَبُوا. He said, hold yourself to account before you are held to account. So how do we do that? We think about, we actually contemplate, we spend time, we designate a period of time, think about what we do. So go ahead and do that. About a minute or two, just thinking about what you guys do. I'll give you that time. Go ahead. Think about it. I'll do the same. Hello. Do you want to say anything? What's your name? What's your name? She wants that one. Okay, let's just do a bit of feedback session now then, yeah? So we've already got 40% designated to sleep. What else do we do? Put your hand up, tell me. What? So we said about 49 hours, like 50 hours a week we sleep.
So that's going to be 29%.
Yeah. Is that right? Well, the mathematician got it all wrong then, didn't he?
6 hours you sleep is 25%.
Yeah, but
if you sleep 8 hours, it's 33%.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's just say 33% for the sake of argument. Because that's good. It's a nice number to be able to, it's a third. It's exactly a third. We spend a third of our, our life, sleeping. What else do we do? Go on, tell me what you do. Let's be work. We work. Okay, good. I'm from UK. We have 9 to 5. Yeah. Is it kind of standard there, like with you guys as well, 9 to 5? So we're saying 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. Is that right?
Yeah.
40 divided by 168. Maybe sometimes more. Yeah. Whatever it may be. Just put that to the side as well. Put that as and the time you spend traveling. Yeah. Time you spend traveling. Think about all that you do. Now, okay, let's take that away now because these are the main things. Time spent working, time spent sleeping. Go ahead.
The time we spend praying, like the 5 daily prayers. No?
Yeah, which is going to be really insignificant. Do you know I've done this exercise with community in London. I've done this exercise with Somali community in London. Because there's Somalis, just like here, there's a lot of Somalis in London as well. And we, what do you call it? We've done this. And we've done it with the youth. And we actually spent real time doing this. I mean, we spent good time talking about how long we spent eating and sleeping and going to the toilet. Because I wanted to really, it sounds quite, a bit, pedantic or trivial or something, but believe me, it gives you a real outlook, a real projection as to how your life is, what your life is composed of, yeah? And when we did it, we found that a lot of the youth spent more time, and this is going to sound really embarrassing, yeah? They spent more time going to the toilet than they did praying their 5 prayers. Or some of them didn't pray their 5 prayers and they spent a long time in the toilet. When you start making these, start seeing things like that, yeah, diagrammatically represented, the numbers are there, yeah, you start realizing what you actually are, either consciously or unconsciously prioritizing in life. Because whatever you do is what you value. That's the truth. Whatever you give your time to is what you've chosen to either consciously or unconsciously value. So if we spend a lot of our time doing level or just kind of speaking and talking and wasting time, then we have to reevaluate our strategy here. Now the thing is this, they say you are what you eat. And there's a truth in that, because when you eat a variety of different foods which are not good for your consumption, they don't give you that nourishment or that nutritional content, that has an effect on your health, it has an effect on your physique, it has an effect on your physical frame. And by the same token, when you do, you are what you do. Because when you do certain things consistently, that becomes who you are. You are a product of what you do consistently. What are you? Who are you? You are what you do on a regular basis. So if you spend every day or every other day doing something, then whatever that thing is, you can pick it out and say, okay, this is what I am. For instance, if you've given charity once this year, you can't say you're now min al-mutasaddiqeen, because there's no dawam there. There's no what you call continuity in that action. You've done that once and you moved on. But if you're someone who continuously gives charity, on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, then you can say, okay, you can know for yourself, okay, I am, if sincerity is there, I am of the mutasaddiqeen. I am someone who gives regular charity. And there is a difference between someone who does something in a slapdash ad hoc way or haphazard way and someone who does something continually. The one who does something continually, is much higher in their ranking, So we have to think to ourselves, what do we do continually? Right? So the things that we do continually, think about it and put it into that graph, put it into that kind of mind map, if you will, or that pie chart. Yeah, and think about what is it that you do continually. Okay? So now that you've gotten that, you've understood who you are, sometimes now it's important to know, okay, who should I be? What should I do? Yeah? So I've understood what I do. I've understood now. Okay, I do this, I do that. You start to see the black holes and the problems in your life. So, okay, well, I actually spend a lot of time, on YouTube. I spend too long on trivial matters. I spend 3-4 hours watching TV. I do this, I do that. So you need to change these things. But with the end in sight, because you have to think about, okay, what do I need the end goal to be? What do I want me to be? What is me? Who is me? Right, so your end goal or your daily action has to kind of represent that end goal. So for example, if you want to be someone who can, for instance, be someone who's memorized the Quran, from an Islamic perspective, that's never going to happen unless you incorporate some kind of memorization program on a daily basis into your life. If you want to be someone who understands maybe 2 or 3 languages, well, that's never going to happen unless you put something into your life, into your daily routine, which incorporates doing something relating to language acquisition. If you want to do something, if you want to be, let's say for instance, you say I want to be, someone who has a good understanding of this or that, that's never going to happen unless you put that into practice on a daily basis. So, with the end in sight, this guy Stephen Covey says, there's a book called Seven Steps to Highly Effective People, or something like this. This is one of the things, put the end goal in sight. So with the end goal in sight, you think, okay, so this is where I want to get to, so these are the steps I'm going to take. You see? And then that pie chart that you've got now, which represents what you do on a daily basis, has to represent, those goals at the end of the day. And for me, it's quite straightforward, For me personally, this is my advice. There should be three main things you should think about. Your mind, your body, and your soul. Three things. And all of those things are interwoven, are interconnected. Your mind, body, it's very easy to remember. Your mind, you have to have some kind of mental stimulation. A lot of studies have shown that those people who are least satisfied in life are those people who have a lack of mental stimulation. Like, in other words, their brain is not working, they are not thinking. They're not using their cognitive processes. If your brain if you're not continually thinking and using your cognitive processes on a daily basis, then it's easy to kind of come off track. That's why you'll find a lot of people who come into old age, and you do crossword puzzles and things like that, because they've been recommended to do that. Because if they don't do that, their faculties might actually it stops being used. So it's always important to do something which is mentally stimulating on a daily basis. In addition to something which is mentally stimulating, you need to do something which is physically stimulating and challenging on a daily basis, or at least every other day. You have to. Why? Because we do live in an age, you have to understand, before the industrial age, before the technological age, human beings used to be very much engaged with physical activity on the farm. Some people will still do this stuff, but on the farm, doing this, doing that, engaged in war. We're living in an age where there's no such thing as we don't need to think about that. But people were doing these things which were physically incredibly challenging. On a daily basis, walking and running and going down and using their bodies on a mass level. And now, because of the technological age, it's a matter of just going into your car or going into the public transport and moving very slowly, developing all kinds of problems in the body. And this is not going to help anyone. You need to have something on a daily basis, or something every other day that you do at least, which not only challenges you in a cardiovascular sense, but actually pushes you and stimulates you as well, that you can find fun. It's important that you do that, because a range of hormones will be activated here that if you don't do this exercise or this kind of physical activity would never be secreted even. Things like cortisol and oxytocin and dopamine. These important hormones. Adrenaline even. It's an important hormone to actually feel sometimes a little bit scared, a little bit nervous. Because if you don't feel it now, when something bad happens in the streets or something like that, and you're in a position where you have to protect your families, you might just end up doing something which you'll regret for the rest of your life. Remember, the pain of discipline is less than the pain of regret. Let me say that one more time. The pain of discipline. So you see, you have discipline. You have two pains. You can either have the pain of discipline, or you can have the pain of regret. The pain of discipline is you telling your mind, telling your faculties what to do. Your brain and your mind telling you as a person what to do now. And then you have the pain of regret. And the pain of regret is a very big pain. It's a hurtful pain. The pain of regret is when you look back into your life, and this phenomenon is referred to as a midlife crisis. You look back into your life and you think, oh, what have I completed? What have I accomplished? What have I achieved? And that pain is a really bad pain, because you think to yourself, well, I have wasted my time. So we said the mind, the body, and the most important one is the soul. Now I'm just going to give you a couple of recommendations, and then I'm going to ask you guys to give me some recommendations. So we're going to do two things. I'm going to give you some recommendations, and then you're going to give me some recommendations. And then we'll kind of conclude after that. Yeah, we're going to have just a couple of more things to say, and then we'll ask questions and we'll conclude. Yeah? So, I'm going to give you things that I believe that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he did on a daily basis. Yeah? In terms of the soul, in terms of what he did. His daily routine, if you think. I'm not going to cover everything because it's impossible for me to do so. Alright? But I'm just going to give you some droplets, some nuggets, if you will, some golden nuggets, of what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ used to do on a daily basis, and the things that we can easily incorporate, on a daily basis. So let me tell you some things, right? Obviously the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ would wake up before Fajr, and do Qiyamul Layl, yeah? Which is a prayer that people do before Fajr. Now, this is very difficult for a lot of us, including myself. It's impossible sometimes. It feels impossible because you have work the next day and these things, and it's a very tiring thing. But, it's not an obligatory thing. It's just something the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ used to do. It was an obligation for him. It's not an obligation for us. For those who think they can do it, or those who have more time in the day, I would recommend that they do that. Yeah, obviously it was a prophetic practice. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ would wake up, and then Fajr obviously would be prayed in the masjid and these things. Obviously you might be living far away from the masjid and that not be practical for you. But at the same time, praying Fajr is fard. So praying on time in the Salat كانت على المؤمنين كتابا موقوتا, that certainly prayer was upon the believers at a prescribed time. And the scholars say the best time to pray Fajr is in the first third of its time, or the first beginning of its time. So it's better not to outstretch it until the shuruq times. Anyway, so that's Fajr. And then the time to read the Quran, the best time to read the Quran is Fajr. Because the Quran says this, yeah? In the Quran, Fajr kana mashhuda, that certainly the Quran of Fajr was a witnessed thing. That the angels witness the qira'ah in Fajr time. So having a portion of the day designated for the Quran. We're talking about the qira'ah of the Quran, which means the reading of the recitation of the Quran, memorization of the Quran, muraja'ah of that which we have memorized, and or the fahm of the Quran, understanding what it's trying to say. If you're serious about the religion of Islam, forget about everything else. If you're serious about the religion of Islam, at the core of your Islamic practice has to be a deep and meaningful relationship with the Quran. This is as simple as it's going to get. And the best time possible for you to be reciting the Quran and to be engaging with the Quran, memorizing the Quran, revising the Quran is Fajr. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ used to recite long surah in the Salat of al-Fajr. Anyways, so we talked about that. Then you have the Adhkar as-Sabah. And these are many, these are found in Fortress of the Muslim. The Adhkar as-Sabah are Adhkar which are basically supplications, or you can say some kind of ad'iyah that you make in the morning, okay? Which the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ used to make. Some of them he used to say every single day. And they are mentioned in Fortress of the Muslim. One's like أصبحنا وأصبح الملك لله والحمد لله لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك له والحمد هو على كل شيء قدير ربي أسألك خير ما في هذا اليوم وخير ما بعده وأعوذ بك من شر ما في هذا اليوم وشر ما بعده ربي أعوذ بك من الكسل وسوء الكبر أعوذ بك من عذاب في النار وعذاب في القبر. These ones, there's lots of them, that you should say. If you say them and you'll say them so often you will memorize them, because it's meant to be on a daily basis. There are ones you say on the sabah, which is the morning, and ones you say after Asr. Some say after Maghrib, some scholars say after Maghrib, which is the Masa ones. Some scholars say after Asr. So having that incorporated, because actually this stops a lot of things. If you kind of analyze, if you do a word analysis on the adhkar of the sabah, you'll find that a lot of these things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has instructed His Prophet to say are very, very like soul cleansing. They're soul cleansing. So it's kind of like reminding you not to be arrogant, not to be lazy, asking you to make forgiveness. They're beautiful and very powerful ad'iyah and adhkar. And they protect you from shayateen and the devils and these things and, hasad, and trust me, it's a really important and beautiful thing to adorn your day with. The adhkar of sabah. You shouldn't take you 5, 10, 20 minutes, whatever it is. You know, and it's not going to be a very difficult thing for you to do. Okay? So you have the Azkar of Sabah. Obviously, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would pray Dhuhr, but he would also pray Duha. Now, not everyone can pray Duha, but if you can do it, it's a beautiful thing to do. It's a sunnah. You can pray it as 2 rak'ahs, you know. Dhuhr is prayed obviously best in the masjid, etc. And you know the rest of the prayers, I'm not going to go through them. It's also really important to try and incorporate the sunnah, the nawafil prayers into your day. Because things like praying before and after the actual fard prayer is a really empowering thing. Because the Prophet, Allah told us, or actually the Prophet told us, the hadith, that the one who does the nawafil prayers, yeah, that Allah will be his seeing that he sees with, his hearing that he hears with, you know, his hand that he hears. Yeah, in other words, that Allah will be there with him. In other words, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will assist him in his life. He'll make his life easier for him. You know? So these are just some of the things, Azkar Sabah, Azkar of Masa, etc., where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam advised us, or he practiced himself, things that he would do on a daily basis. You know, reading the Quran in the morning, you know, and giving everyone their rights, because that's the most difficult one. You know, to give your mother her rights and your father and, you know, the wife and the, you know, husband, if you're a woman, whatever it is, it's very difficult. You know, it's, you give everyone their rights. That's a very important thing. And the Prophet told us that the best of you are those who are most useful to others. So spending time trying to be useful to other people is an integral part of is being a useful member of the community and stuff. So these are some of the suggestions. Is there anything I've kind of missed out that you guys want to add to that? Because obviously you guys might have some ideas. Things that we can incorporate in your opinion that we can do on a daily basis that you guys do. Is there anything from a spiritual perspective, to get your advice now, I'm asking you directly, what kind of things maybe do you do or that you've seen other people do that, we talked about charity already, but what other ideas do you think we could have? Any ideas here? Should I give you 20 seconds to think about it? I will give you 20 seconds. Have a think about it. You can speak to the person next to you just for 20 or 30 seconds. What other spiritual things, yeah, could we incorporate on a daily basis to, you know, invigorate? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, we can also incorporate trying to understand the meaning of the Quran.
Very good.
So
yeah.
when we recite the Quran, then trying to understand and reflect on some of it.
That's
on
beautiful.
a daily basis.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So spending some time just kind of thinking about the Quran. You know, it's really upsetting sometimes. I get lots of emails, and one day I'll make a video about this on my YouTube. About, okay, give me a reading list or something like that. And a lot of Muslims will ask that question, but I'm positively sure, I'm not saying that they're not entitled to ask that question. Inshallah, we'll do a reading list in the future. But you have the Quran. I mean, let's start with the Quran. Let's start with the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Are you, at this moment in time, taking your time to look at the verses of the Quran and to try and understand how this relates to you as a person? Are you doing that? Because if you're not doing that, then it's not going to be of benefit for me to actually tell you go and read X book that some philosopher wrote or some historian wrote. He's trying to interpret the world. Well, we have the communication from the Lord of the world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling us exactly how everything should be, how everything is best suited to you. Any other points? Just give two more points. Go on.
I have some question. Like a lot of people have some Muslim tradition, so it's basically like they only know how to, deeply to understand the Quran.
Yeah, so they should look for translations in their native language. Yeah, they should really make an effort to understand this. The worst thing is when people don't know Surah Al-Fatiha. Once again, I've done like my own little social experiments for asking young people especially. I mean, you have like madrasas and schools and Muslim schools and duksi, these things, whatever you want to call it, yeah? I want you to do it, if you have a chance, go to the kids there. Yeah? Go to the 8-year-olds, the 9-year-olds and the 10-year-olds, yeah? And tell them to translate Surah Al-Fatiha into English. Yeah? And if they cannot do that, then the duksi is a failing duksi, in my opinion. Or it's a madrasa which they should close it. They should close it. Or something like this. Because actually they're not helping the children understand the basics of Islam. And then these same children will go to our religious education or world religions course in school, and they'll do a better job in explaining Islam than the teacher of the Quran, which is a shame. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ومنهم أميون لا يعلمون الكتاب إلا أماني وإنهم إلا يظنون about Bani Israel, that from them are those illiterate ones. In other words, that they يعني not illiterate in the sense that they can't read and write, but they're illiterate. لا يعلمون الكتاب إلا أماني وإنهم إلا يظنون. They don't know about the book that they're reading. You know? And they're just guessing on what's inside. So if you ask those kids, what does Surah Al-Fatiha say? What does Surah Al-Ikhlas translate into? Don't know. Maybe this, maybe that. Guess. How can you guess? You should know. This is the centerpiece of your religious tradition. If you don't know what Surah Al-Fatiha translates into, it's not good. It's not good enough. So we have to put a great emphasis, and this is a good point he made. Yeah, we have to put a great emphasis. It's more important that the kids understand what La ilaha illallah is than them if they come out knowing 10 juz of the Quran memorized, but they don't know how to understand La ilaha illallah, it's not going to help them in the least. It's like a computer. You know, it will help them in the sense that they'll get rewards for reciting it, inshallah, and they'll get rewards for memorizing it and all these things. But it won't help them in terms of their actual person, their transactions. They're not going to make the world a better place, in a nutshell. Any other points? Any other points? What else can we, let me just repeat what we said. So what else can we put into our day on a spiritual level, which will, that we can do on a daily basis, which will make our lives, closer to Allah? Asking you guys. Things that we haven't mentioned before. Yes?
Yeah, spreading the salam among the Muslims.
Yes.
Saying to everybody salam alaikum.
Beautiful. So, Ishu salam bainakum. You know, the hadith of Muhammad said, spread salam bainakum, between you guys. And spreading the salam, the salutation. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذَا حُيِّيتُم بِتَحِيَّةٍ فَحَيُّوا بِأَحْسَنَ مِنْهَا أَوْ رَدُّوهَا. That if you're given the salam, then respond to the salam with a salutation which is the same as it or even better than it. Because it's a positive thing to spread peace and salutations. It's a really good point. To make an effort to connect with other Muslims and even the non-Muslims, to try and show them what our religion is. And that's another point, da'wah. Have people thought about da'wah? Well, the Prophet Muhammad says, بَلُّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً. You know? That doesn't need to be done on a daily basis, but at least you should apportion some kind of time for those people. You might have people in your family members that are not really religious, or that are not even Muslim, or that have left the deen. You don't think that happens? I'm sure there's at least one person in this room who you know someone who's left Islam. Yeah? Yeah. Is that right? Oh, you're going to add another thing to it? Yeah, go on.
Also, we need to also constantly try to look at what Allah has created.
Beautiful.
And appreciate, try to say Alhamdulillah, look at yourself, around you, all the time, say Alhamdulillah. And I saw this in Hadith, narrated by Ibn Abbas, when he stayed with his aunt, and he saw what the Prophet did overnight. When he woke up, the Prophet looked up, and he saw this guy, and he said, Wallah, you didn't create all of this for no reason. Then he read verses from the last 10 verses of Surah Al-Imran.
Beautiful. Excellent. Really nice. And that's something we forget. Allah, it's one of the best ways to increase your iman is to ponder over the khalq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you need to know the meaning of subhanallah, alhamdulillah, and Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah is a beautiful thing to say. Yeah. Because in the Quran you have sabbaha lillah. You have yusabbihu lillah. Sabbaha lillah glorified everything in the past tense. It's in the past tense. In Arabic, it's in the past tense. Everything glorified Allah. Yeah. Sabbaha lillahi ma fi samawati wa ma fi al-ard. Yusabbihu lillah. It's in the present tense. Yusabbihu lillah. Everything, all the creation is glorifying Allah. But subhanallah is called maf'ul mutlaq. It's maf'ul mutlaq, which is above and beyond time and space. You know that? So it's not dependent upon past tense and present tense and these things. It's above and beyond that. So subhanallah. It's the highest thing you can say. It's the highest way you can glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when we say subhanallah, I think subhanallah. And looking at the khalq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, looking at the mountains, looking at the trees, unbelievable. And you live in a beautiful landscape here in Canada. Unbelievable landscape. You're going to see the mountains and the trees and this and that. You can just say subhanallah. and you get, you know, the hadith says you have things planted for you or coming out for you in Jannah. So it's a beautiful way to accumulate rewards. Yeah? Alhamdulillah, alhamd actually is shukr and madh. Shukr is thanks and madh is praise. Madh is praise and shukr is thanks. So it's a combination of both of those things. Okay, so when you say alhamdulillah, and you say alif and lam, which is like it's al-umum, yani, it covers everything. All praise be to Allah. That's what you say. All praise and thanks belongs to Allah. We say Allahu Akbar. Yeah, Allahu Akbar is like Allah is greater. Because Allah is greater than anything that can be in existence. So when you say these things, don't make them. Even after prayer, we say Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, which sometimes we forget to do. Yeah. Think about those meanings. You know, Subhanallah, oh, Alhamdulillah, okay, I get that. Allahu Akbar, Allah is greater than, you know. And when you think about those things, this is one of the best ways to make your iman grow. Wallahi, it's amazing. And you look at the khalq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, and you look at the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you look at the fine-tuning of the universe, if you will. Yeah, everything is so finely tuned, everything is so sophisticated. The atheist says, no, it's evolution, my friend. Okay, just turn back and say to him, well, evolution, I didn't think inanimate things can evolve. Because the jibal, the mountains and the celestial bodies in the cosmos, all of these things are inanimate. And they're not even biological. There's no explanation for why everything is like this. You know, except for the fact that there's a creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you think about that, you're assured that there's a creator, and you're assured that there's a purpose, and you're assured that you're meant to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
I would like to ask what is the plan for the new kids here, for youth, how they can recognize Rajab, Sha'ban and Ramadan accordingly. I know that it's only Shahr Ramadan we are celebrating and we are gathering together. What about Sha'ban and Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj and Rajab and Shawwal? There is no some specific recognition or stories can be offered to boys and girls from 8 until they become 17 or 18. That's why the seed does not grow in them.
That's a very good point, yeah.
Among their own schools, educational plans, among their own Catholic schools. And I found out that the Islamic Academy is a very expensive fees to be paid. If you compare that, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not aware of it because I'm not from this country. You know, I live in the UK. I live in London, you know. But so I don't know about the fees and these things. But it's a good point you made about Rajab and Sha'ban. And obviously we know that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there's some hadith, yeah, that narrated by Aisha and other Sahaba that say that he used to fast all of Sha'ban. Some say that he used to fast half of it. Some say he used to fast most of it. But the one about all of it is weak, let's say, yeah. But the ones about like half of it and a lot of it. So fasting is a very important thing to do in Sha'ban. If you're able to do it, then do it. Prepare yourself, as you've said. You know, the seeds, you know, of cultivation should be planted in Sha'ban so that they can grow in Ramadan. It's a really good way of putting it, you know. And so I would, because we're 42 days away from Ramadan, as we've started off by saying. 42 days is not a long time, you know. We're close to Sha'ban. We should be thinking about preparation now, because if we really think about what Ramadan means to us, it's an amazing experience to try and maximize as much hasanat as possible. Yeah. Any other? Let's maybe one or two more suggestions, and we'll wrap it up, inshallah. Yes.
What about the time? What I am astonished sometimes. I think when I think of the people living in 19 old, that time,
When?
people live in the whole world
Yeah.
in 1900, like 1920s, 1905. Or think, how do you think at that time? And the world that are now, right now, they're not here.
Mm.
So I think at that time they think they can live long time, but no one here.
You know, the Quran criticizes some people. It says, يود أحدهم أن يعمر ألف سنة وما هو بمزحزحه من العذاب أن يعمر. That some of them, they wanted to live 1,000 years and they will never be able to escape the punishment. You know, I was recently looking at some statistics and data. I'm not sure about it in Canada, but in the UK, 66 million population. I was astonished. Cancer research said that there's half of the population will get cancer. Just think about it, half of people in the United Kingdom will get. I think Canada is something similar actually, because it's one of the highest cancer places where you can get cancer. It's in Canada, you know. So half of the population will get cancer, and 3/4 of them will be over 60, whatever. But the idea is that we will never escape death, yeah, and we never know when death is coming. You know, subhanAllah, you could die at any point in time. And this, when we see people just being killed and shot and these things, that's one thing, but you can actually die from a disease from within. You don't know if cancer is going to afflict you. Now more and more young people are being afflicted by cancer, more than ever before in human history. It's an incredible epidemic. Cancer is killing, all of these diseases are killing, so we don't know. We cannot think that we're going to live forever. We cannot think that. We should be thinking, you plan for the best, and you plan for the worst, in a sense, and you hope for the best. You plan for the worst and you hope for the best. But that's the reality of the situation, right? That's a good point, People back in the days didn't think of these things. But now, we can see death all around us, so we have to plan for it. We have to plan for death. Why don't we plan for death? Think about when you're going to die, inheritance and these things. Well, think about that. What you've left behind. Any other points? Yeah.
I think another point is to stay far from the haram. So
it's a really good point. Yeah, it's a really good point. Because we talked about what you should be doing, but also you should be thinking about what you shouldn't be doing. So if you go back to our pie chart that we said that what you do on a weekly basis, there are some things you should not ever be doing. If you identify that you're doing something on a daily basis which is haram, then you should eliminate that from your daily routine. And you could be just watching TV, and you're not knowing that you're accumulating sin upon sin. Why? Because you're watching TV and there's a woman there wearing provocative clothing, and you're not lowering your gaze. You're just watching her, and there's music in the background, and this and that, and then there's a storyline. All of these things, you're just sitting there and accumulating sins. You're watching TV, but you actually you're sitting. You're sitting and sitting, and the angel is writing on your left shoulder. And you're sitting there and you're sitting. So you have to make sure you watch a lot of TV. It's not good for you, unless you're really doing something which is a slave way. In my opinion, I don't know of any program out there really that's free of all the things I've just mentioned. Let's be honest about it. If you spend a lot of time on the internet, what are you doing on the internet? Because these are the two things, by the way, statistically, that have been seen as what people do now on spending a lot of their time doing it. Social media and watching television. People spend 20 hours on social media in a week. That's an average now for young people. And another 20 hours watching TV. So go back to our pie chart. Imagine spending 20 hours on that. Your life is a virtual life. You're living a matrix. You're living literally like a matrix life. So you have to think about eliminating, as you said, all those things which could be very negative things. A lot of them are going to be associated with the online world. A lot of them are going to be associated with what you do with your friends. As the Prophet Muhammad said, the person is on the religion of his friend. So if you're with a group of bad people in school or in work even, you get dragged here and there and everywhere, and they're telling you what to do and you're being influenced, that's not a good place, that's not a good way to spend your time. So you've got to think about all of those factors and come to a conclusion. I'll leave it as that, guys, because I know you guys have got things to do. So I'll leave you, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.